Do you know the moment that makes a woman stop in her tracks? Not because of money, not because of looks, not even because of charm. It's when she sees a man in public and feels something shift inside her chest, something she can't quite explain but can't look away from. Right now, I want you to picture this. A man standing tall, not trying to be the loudest, not chasing attention, not performing for approval. Instead, his energy is steady, calm, magnetic. Other men don't even notice it, but every woman in the room feels it. Why? Because women aren't drawn to what you say you are. They're drawn to what you reveal about yourself when you don't think anyone's watching. That's when the truth bleeds through. And this truth is what makes women's eyes linger, even when they don't want them to. Here's the unsettling part. Most men spend their lives polishing the wrong things. They think they need to impress with jokes, with clothes, with money. But what women notice first isn't the surface. It's the state of your nervous system. Yes, you heard me right. A man's calmness, his grounded presence in public, tells her everything she needs to know about his strength. It whispers to her, "This man cannot be shaken. This man isn't desperate for approval. This man carries his world inside himself." And that feeling is intoxicating, not because of what it says about her, but because of what it says about him. Now, I know you're wondering, why does this matter? Because women are biologically tuned to safety and status. When they see a man who holds himself like he doesn't need the room, like the room needs him, something ancient stirs inside them. They don't consciously say, "Oh, that's attractive." No. Instead, their body reacts first. The quickened heartbeat, the glance that lingers too long, the curiosity that refuses to die. And here's what nobody tells you. Women don't talk about this openly because it betrays their secret. They want men who don't need them, yet who command their attention effortlessly. That's the paradox, and that's why most men never figure it out. Think about the last time you walked into a room. Did you notice how your body moved? The way your eyes scanned the environment? The way you either rushed to hide in the background or tried a little too hard to be seen? Women notice, always. They don't just watch what you say, they watch how you exist. When you enter a cafe, a bar, even a grocery store, you broadcast signals without speaking a word. And here's the truth. Men don't like hearing. The loudest signals you give off aren't in your words, but in your subtle, unconscious actions. The way you stand, the rhythm of your breathing, whether your shoulders curl inward or expand outward, whether you move with hesitation or with certainty. Women are experts at decoding this language. Why? Because evolution forced them to be. For thousands of years, their survival depended on sensing whether the man in front of them was stable, strong, and trustworthy, or unstable, insecure, and dangerous. That ancient radar is still active today, and you cannot lie to it. You might wear designer clothes, drive a shiny car, or flash a confident smile. But if your energy underneath is shaky, if you're seeking validation, women will feel it instantly. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you walk into a crowded room and you don't scan for approval. You don't adjust yourself based on who's watching. You simply move with purpose, slow, deliberate, unbothered. That single behavior makes women's attention snap toward you, even if they can't explain why. It's not arrogance, it's not showmanship, it's presence, the ability to occupy space without apology, without shrinking, without demanding recognition. And here's the paradox. When you don't try to attract attention, you actually attract more of it. Because women feel the contrast. Most men in public are restless, fidgeting, loud, or self-conscious. When a man is calm and centered, it feels rare, almost dangerous, like he knows something they don't. That mystery creates gravity. And suddenly, she's curious. Who is he? Why isn't he trying like the others? What gives him this quiet certainty? That curiosity becomes attraction, even if she doesn't want it to. The truth is, A woman's attraction often begins in public, long before any conversation. She feels your presence before she hears your voice. And that presence, steady, calm, unshakable, is the hidden key most men overlook. There's a reason why women are drawn to men who hold themselves differently in public. It isn't about showing off, it isn't about dominance games, and it isn't about flexing. It's about a signal that cuts deeper than words. Control. Not control over others, but control over yourself. Think about it. When you see a man lose his temper in public, raising his voice, arguing, needing to prove himself, what do you think? Weak, insecure, needing validation. Women see the same thing, and they feel instantly turned off, because his emotions own him, and a man who can't control himself can't protect anyone. Now flip it. Picture a man who faces disrespect, a snide comment, or even a challenge, but instead of reacting, he pauses. His expression doesn't crumble, his body doesn't jitter, his voice doesn't rise. He stays calm, collected, in command of himself. In that moment, every woman watching feels it. This is a man who doesn't bend to chaos. This is a man who cannot be easily moved. And that calmness in the storm is what makes her pulse quicken. It isn't about aggression, it's about restraint. Because restraint means power. Here's what most men miss. Women are not testing you with their eyes when they first see you in public. They're testing your energy. If you're desperate to prove you're the alpha, if you're chasing approval with every movement, she'll know you're not it. But if you walk through the world like you don't need to be validated, like you are already enough, that's when her instincts flare. It's not arrogance, it's authority over yourself. And there's something even deeper here. Women equate a man's public presence with how he will be in private. If he fumbles in public, he'll crumble under pressure in life. If he needs the approval of strangers, he'll cling to her for reassurance. But if he stands tall without asking for permission, if he exudes calm certainty in the middle of noise, she feels safe. And safety, to a woman, is the bedrock of attraction. Because safety doesn't just mean protection from the outside world. It means she won't have to carry the weight of leading the relationship. That's the secret most men never learn. There's a subtle truth most men never hear because women will never say it out loud. They are always watching how you treat the world when you think it doesn't matter. Not how you treat her on a date, not how you treat friends when you're in your best mood, but how you treat the environment around you when you think no one's paying attention. That's when she sees the man behind the mask. Imagine you're in public, standing in line, and the cashier makes a mistake. Do you snap? Do you sigh loudly to prove you've been wronged? Do you roll your eyes? Or do you stay composed, grounded, even gracious? She notices. She doesn't need to analyze it. Her instincts instantly calculate what kind of man you are. Because the man who falls apart over something small will never stand strong when life gets heavy. This is why women feel drawn to men who seem untouchable by petty chaos. A man who can laugh off an inconvenience, who can walk through a crowded street without looking rattled, who can move through the world like it bends but doesn't break him. That man radiates a different frequency. He tells her without words, life cannot bend me, stress cannot control me, weakness cannot consume me. And that frequency is rare. Here's what you need to understand. Attraction in public isn't built on trying to look perfect. It's built on how you handle imperfection. Most men crumble when things don't go their way. They fidget, they lash out, they overcompensate. But the man who stays calm? He is the one who becomes unforgettable. Women crave men whose energy brings order, not men who add to the noise. And when you embody that order in public, she feels it on a primal level. She doesn't care if you're tall, short, rich, or average looking. If you move through the world like you own yourself, she will feel the pull. That's why you see women gravitate toward men who don't even try. Because those men are living proof that presence is louder than performance. And here's the truth. Women may not approach you. They may not even speak to you. but they will notice, and that silent noticing plants the seed of attraction long before words are exchanged. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't flinch under the gaze of others. Most men collapse when eyes are on them. They start adjusting, overthinking, shrinking, or performing. But the men who draw women in public, they are the ones who don't break stride. They're not chasing the approval of strangers, and that's exactly why strangers feel compelled to watch them, women especially. Because here's the truth: a man who doesn't seek validation communicates abundance. He tells the world, "I already have what I need within me." And that message doesn't just hit the mind, it hits the body. Women feel it before they understand it. Think about it. When a man constantly seeks approval, laughing too hard at his own jokes, glancing around for reactions, trying to impress with status symbols, it reveals emptiness, a void. And women instinctively avoid voids, because a void is something they'll have to fill. But when a man stands on his own, when his energy says, "I am enough," that void disappears. Instead, he radiates completeness. That's the type of man who awakens curiosity, because he doesn't need anyone to complete him. And here's the dangerous part. Women can't help but test it. They'll glance, they'll try subtle looks, even small interactions, just to see if your presence cracks. If you fold into performance the second you're noticed, you lose the magnetism. But if you remain steady, if you carry the same calm presence, whether someone's watching or not, then you confirm the truth she sensed about you. That's when she feels pulled in, even against her own logic. What you need to understand is that women aren't searching for perfection in public. They're searching for authenticity. But not the weak kind of authenticity, where a man dumps his insecurities on the world. Real authenticity is when your outer world matches your inner world. When your face, your body, your voice all align with the calm, stable core inside of you. That congruence is irresistible because it is rare. Most men wear masks, few men are whole. So when a woman sees a man who is whole in himself, who doesn't bend to eyes, to judgment, to noise, she feels drawn, even if she doesn't want to admit it. Because in him, she sees safety, mystery, and strength wrapped into one. And that's a combination no woman can ignore, can. Every man needs to understand this. Women don't fall for the man who looks the most confident. They fall for the man whose confidence doesn't collapse under pressure. And where is pressure felt most? In public. When all eyes are watching. When social dynamics unfold. When you're being silently judged without a word being spoken. That's where the truth of your presence is revealed. You cannot fake it. If you're acting, if you're posturing, if you're wearing a mask, the cracks show. And women sense it instantly. This is why women are drawn to the man who seems unaffected by the social theater around him. He doesn't need to prove himself in front of strangers. He doesn't rise or fall based on how others treat him. And he doesn't adjust his frame to chase approval. That stability is rare. That stability is priceless. And that stability makes him magnetic. Because here's the hidden truth. Women live in a world where they are constantly judged, stared at, and evaluated. Most men don't understand how exhausting that is. But when she sees a man who has mastered himself under the same weight of eyes, she feels something powerful. She feels like she can rest in him. And rest is the deepest form of attraction. When a woman feels that being around you lowers her anxiety instead of raising it, she bonds to that. Not logically, biologically. Her body leans toward that stability because it feels like safety. And safety is not boring. It is intoxicating when paired with strength. But here's where most men fail. They think safety means softness. They think it means being agreeable, harmless, invisible. Wrong. True safety comes from power under control. A man who has fire in him, but who doesn't let that fire burn recklessly. A man who has strength, but doesn't need to flex it for attention. That balance, fire with control, strength with calmness, is what women sense in public. and it's what makes them drawn to you even when you say nothing. So understand this. Every time you step outside, you're communicating without words. Your energy, your presence, your calmness or lack of it, it all speaks louder than your voice ever could. And women are listening with their instincts. There's a moment every man faces in public that decides how women will see him. The moment of choice between reaction and control. Picture this. You're walking through a crowded street and someone bumps into you. No apology, maybe even a glare. What do most men do? They overreact. Their ego takes over. They puff their chest, mutter under their breath, maybe even throw an insult. They think they've proven strength, but what they've really proven is fragility. Because true strength never feels the need to announce itself. Now imagine a different man in that same moment. He gets bumped, but his eyes stay calm, his body relaxed, his presence unshaken. He doesn't flinch, doesn't chase validation, doesn't even need to acknowledge it. Not because he's weak, but because he knows who he is. That single moment of control, witnessed by anyone watching, speaks louder than 1,000 words. Women especially see it, and they feel the weight of it. Because that calm, that self-command, is more attractive than any flashy display. Here's why. Women know men live in a world of constant challenges, and they know instinctively that the man who stays unshaken in public will stay unshaken in life. That's the man who won't crumble when bills are late, when stress piles up, when life tests him. That's the man who won't make her feel like she has to carry him. And women are drawn to that like gravity. But let me tell you the hard truth. Most men fail in these tiny, invisible moments. They reveal their insecurity without realizing it. They seek eye contact for approval. They laugh too loudly to look confident. They explode when disrespected because silence feels unbearable. All of it comes from fear, and fear is repellent. Women don't want to feel like your anchor. They want to feel your anchor holding you steady. So what does this mean for you? It means every public moment is a test, not in the sense that you should perform, but in the sense that your true nature leaks out. And women are watching, always. They're not waiting for you to prove yourself with big gestures. They're watching how you carry yourself when you think no one important is watching. And that is where attraction is born. There's a strange truth about attraction that most men never hear. Women are less impressed by what you gain than by what you can walk away from. In public, that truth shows itself clearly. When a man chases attention, clings to every glance, tries to win approval from strangers, he looks small. But when a man can let it all pass by, when he doesn't scramble for validation, when he carries himself like nothing outside of him can add or subtract from his worth, that's when women feel the pull. Because indifference to approval is the loudest sign of inner abundance. Think about the last time you saw a man who seemed completely unfazed by the crowd. He wasn't posturing, he wasn't restless, he wasn't trying to be noticed. And yet, everyone noticed him. That paradox is the essence of magnetism. Attention chases the man who doesn't need it. And women, whether they admit it or not, are drawn to this contrast. It's rare. Most men are starved for validation. Few men radiate the power of not needing it. And that contrast makes her curious. What does he have that the others don't? Here's the truth you need to face. Women are not drawn to you because of what you say or do in one moment. They are drawn to your relationship with yourself. If your sense of worth rises and falls based on how others treat you, she feels it. But if you walk through the world like your value is carved into stone, untouchable, unchanging, she feels that too. And her body responds before her mind can argue. But let's make something clear. This isn't about arrogance. Arrogance screams insecurity. This is about sovereignty, the quiet, steady power of a man who rules himself. When you display that in public, not by show, but by being, it's undeniable. It shifts the atmosphere around you. People feel it without you saying a word. Women especially, because their instincts are wired to detect which men are stable, which men are fragile, and which men are pretending. So when she feels that aura, that calm, unbothered self-possession, she leans toward it, sometimes subtly, sometimes against her own logic. Because deep down, every woman craves a man whose presence brings certainty in a world that never stops moving. And in public, that truth reveals itself with brutal honesty. Have you ever noticed how women's eyes dart, scan, and linger in public spaces? They're not just wandering aimlessly, they're searching. Their instincts are tuned like radar, scanning for signals of strength, stability, and presence. They might not admit it, they might not even consciously realize it, but their bodies react before their minds catch up. And here's the unspoken truth. Most men fail this test before they even realize they're being watched. They slouch, fidget, laugh nervously, overcompensate, or puff themselves up like fragile balloons about to burst. And women feel it instantly. This man is not safe, not solid, not centered. But then there are the rare few who pass the test without even trying. They aren't performing. They aren't loud. They aren't hunting for approval. They're just there, rooted, grounded, calm. A man who looks like he belongs to himself, no matter who's watching. And that is what makes every woman's instincts flare. Because she feels it. This man has a spine of steel under his skin. He isn't swayed by noise, by looks, by attention, or by disrespect. He carries his own world within him. And that's when the paradox hits her. Because women may not approach such a man. They may even act indifferent. But deep down, they crave to be near that energy. Why? Because it makes them feel something most men can't give. Security without control, dominance without aggression, fire without recklessness. In a world full of men who seek to be noticed, he is the man who can't be ignored. But let me give you the harsh reality. This presence cannot be faked. You can't copy it from a YouTube video. You can't mimic it with fake confidence tricks. You can't pretend your way into it. Women are too finely tuned for that. They'll sense the cracks in seconds. The only way to radiate it is to build it. To discipline your mind, your body, and your emotions until your calmness is real, not rehearsed. Until your silence speaks louder than other men's noise. That's why women feel drawn to men who embody this presence in public. It's not about status, not about money, not about looks. It's about the primal truth that strength, control, and calmness cannot be hidden. And when you have it, the world notices, even when you don't try. So now you understand why women feel drawn to men who carry themselves with quiet power in public. It isn't the car you drive. It isn't the watch on your wrist. It isn't the smooth lines you rehearse. It's the energy you radiate when you think no one's looking. That is when your truth bleeds through, and women feel it with every instinct they've been given. They're not falling for the show. You can't trick them with flash. They're falling for the man who doesn't need the show. The man who moves through the world like he belongs to himself. And this is the piece most men never face. Every time you step outside, you are teaching the world how to treat you. You are broadcasting signals about who you are. If your shoulders slump, if your eyes dart nervously, if your energy screams for attention, you will be ignored. But if you walk with grounded calmness, if your presence says, "I am enough," then people, especially women, cannot help but notice. The difference is not in what you do. It's in who you are when pressure presses against you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't build this presence by chasing women. You don't build it by trying to be liked. You build it by mastering yourself, by disciplining your emotions, by training your body to stand strong, by teaching your mind to be unshaken by the chaos around you. That's the kind of man women feel magnetically drawn to in public, because it's the kind of man who can lead, protect, and provide stability in private. So hear me clearly. This isn't about impressing her. It's about becoming the kind of man who impresses himself. A man who looks in the mirror and knows he is steady, he is calm, he is strong. When you achieve that, women won't just notice you in public. They will feel pulled toward you without you lifting a finger. Now let me ask you something personal. When you walk through the world today, what energy are you really projecting? Calm confidence or hidden desperation? Be honest. Drop your answer in the comments because I want to hear it. And if this message hits you, don't just keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more truths most men will never hear, and share this with a brother who needs to. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men who can walk in silence and still be felt.